And so we're going to go ahead and show my screen, and we're going to have some fun here. We're going to cover a couple of slides just to talk about the theory and the idea of what we're doing, and then we're going to hop into the software and build some stuff out. Got a couple of things already built and ready for you. And then at the end of this, I'm going to stick around for some Q&A. This is also being recorded, and so once it's done and the recording is available, I'll tweet this to everybody. And let's get into it and start having some fun here. So that's me. I'm Paul Sokol. I'm the campaign builder mad scientist, and I'm very good at opportunities and sales pipelines. And so that's why Jordan invited me to do today's mastermind call. This is the mastermind call, by the way, for those that may be wondering. Before we get into it, I want to go ahead and just let you know of a couple other training resources that we've got here. We do have a virtual academy, just help.infusionsoft.com/academy. This is free, and you can attend these courses as many times as you like. If you want to get a refresher, or if you're brand new, or if you bring somebody new onto your team that needs to learn Infusionsoft, this is a great way to get started. If you need a little more in-depth and hands-on type learning, we also do have Infusionsoft University. This is live at our headquarters, and the next one is going to be happening from May 21st to the 24th. And you can attend either the beginning first 2 days or the advanced last 2 days, or you can do all 4 days. It's up to you. And if you just go to infusionsoft.com/university, you can learn all about it. And this is a very democratic process here as far as these mastermind calls. So we do not decree what we're going to talk about. This is all based on you. If you go to mastermindwebinars.uservoice.com, this is where you can vote and suggest for ideas. And this particular topic of automation around opportunities was the most requested topic for this week. And that's why I was brought in to run this. And if anybody was at InfusionCon, they may have seen me speak about opportunities. And I didn't get a whole lot into automation, though, and there was a lot of demand for that. So the world just kind of worked out perfectly, and here we are. So after this call, go ahead and vote on whatever you want to learn next. So since this may be the first time many of you are even hearing about me or getting to know me, I want to first tell you about who am I. Basically, why should you listen to me? I'm not going to read all of these. We all know how to read. I've got a lot of sales experience. If you've ever heard of Cutco knives, I sold a ton of those in college and was also an assistant manager for the top office in Orlando. And so in addition to knowing the software really well, I've got the sales process down a lot. And I've built a lot of pipelines and a lot of automation throughout the process of coaching with Infusionsoft. And so hopefully that's enough of a reason for you to take really good notes and learn some stuff. And I'm going to address questions here. One person's asking if this is a redo of my talk at InfusionCon. This is not a redo. There are some similar topics, but the talk at InfusionCon was focused primarily on the basics of why you need to set up a pipeline, here's how to do it, all that stuff. I'm assuming that you've already bought into the fact that you need to be using opportunities, and we're going to be talking about automation because that's really the last thing that you do. I've got a pyramid of opportunities, and you'll see that automation happens at the very top. So there'll be a little bit of overlap, but not a whole lot. So if you attended my talk at InfusionCon and you're watching this webinar, you're going to get just as much value out of it. So hopefully, if you're interested, you'll follow me at Voyix on Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and tweet the recording once it's posted, and I'm pretty active as well, so don't ever be afraid to call me out and ask a question or anything like that. I'm always happy to help the Infusionsoft tribe. It's what I love doing. I have a lot of fun doing this. So now that we've got all the fluff and stuff at the beginning out of the way, let's go ahead and have some fun and get right into the meat and the potatoes here. So we have to start off by saying, what is an opportunity? And this is what an opportunity is. It's a manual tool for your sales reps. And that's really all that it is. It's essentially, if you've ever used Salesforce.com, it's basically Salesforce.com, but that's just one part of Infusionsoft. So it's your pipeline. And for this conversation, we're going to be talking about sales pipelines. But you can use it for other types of pipelines. And at the end, we'll go over a couple examples of how you can use opportunities besides uh, a sales process. So that is what an opportunity is. It is a manual tool for you or your sales team to be accountable. So as far as how it works, it does two things. It helps keep a 10,000-foot view of where somebody is at in the process. And this is with the sales stage that you see there. And then as far as the day-to-day management of it, or just the follow-up, that is the next action date and time that you see down here. And this is where you say, here's what I'm going to go ahead and do next. And that next action date and time does populate on your calendar here. And so your sales team can pretty much log in every morning, see who is on my calendar for today. And as long as they take care of those people, they know that nobody is going to be slipping through the cracks. And so that's a high level of what it's doing. So when we talk about automation, automation happens only around that stage movement, that 10,000 foot view here. So you can see we're actually building a pyramid at the bottom. The bottom layer are these defined and meaningful sales stages. So a very common question I get is, how do I set up my stages here? I'm going to show you in the next slide how you should set up your stages if you're using a sales pipeline. But if you're using opportunities for a fulfillment pipeline, or I used to use it for my coaching pipeline, you want those stages to be a 10,000 foot milestone, and there needs to be meaning to that stage, like a clear defined, here's what happened. A great way to think about it is if you think about opportunity stages like a set of stairs. Each stair is a stage. Each step is a stage in the process, and each step up the stairs takes you closer. So we shouldn't be creating stages willy nilly. They do need to be meaningful and actually mean something. So I'm not going to cover a lot about how to set up your stages and things like that. These are the stages that I feel everybody should be using if you're using a sales pipeline. If anything, at least the first four. I'm going to briefly explain what each of these means. And again, it's a 10,000 foot milestone, so these have very clear definitions of what they're talking about. So the first is a new opportunity. This means nothing has happened. Usually you'll get a new opportunity as a result of some automation. So somebody fills out a web form on your site, says they want to talk to you, or maybe you're using lead scoring and somebody has engaged enough to the point where it fires a lead score trigger to create an opportunity for you. That's what new opportunity means. They're fresh. We haven't done anything. The next stage, which again is this 10,000 foot milestone, is contacting. This is very similar to a new opportunity. The difference is we have made one attempt and we haven't reached them. So we haven't yet got them qualified or even necessarily talking. The next step after contacting is engaging. And so this means we've actually got a conversation. We've got a little back and forth, and we're in that process of finding out if they qualify. Because it doesn't make any sense to proceed in the sales process if somebody doesn't have a budget and they don't have a need and they're not inspired to find that need. Once we've identified that, now somebody's at the qualifying stage. And again, these are 10,000 foot milestones. Each of these are very meaningful. And when we start to look at our automation, we're going to see how we leverage what each of these stages mean to supplement what the sales rep's doing with their automation. So after somebody has been identified as qualified, then we can actually start moving into the sales process. So maybe we're doing demos, or you're doing appointments, or maybe you give a quote to somebody, or maybe it's a little back and forth. Now, this is going to depend on your sales process, but each of those are probably going to contain a couple of different stages per, because again, it's a 10,000 foot milestone. So you don't have a stage of demo, right? Because at least with the demo, there's at least two parts to it. You have the demo scheduled, which is a milestone, and then the demo is completed, which is another milestone. At the very tail end, you can have a closing stage. You may not need it, but this is for those people that are right there on the fence. And again, this is meaningful. This would be the point where you need to basically start, quote, selling them on why your solution is the best solution for their specific problem. So again, we're leading up to pipeline automation, and this is the base of our pyramid. This is our foundation. We got to have defined, meaningful sales stages. So what we're going to go ahead and do real quickly is we're going to take a scenic route. I'm going to show you where to set up the sales stages. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail because there's a lot of tutorials and knowledge bases on how to do this. So we got some stuff set up for you. So here we are. We're logged in, and we're going to get to working an opportunity next real quick. But you can see that I've got an appointment today at 9 to do a mastermind call. This is an opportunity because it has this little dollar symbol here. This is here because of that next action date and time. Remember how I was saying an opportunity gives you 10,000 foot and then the day-to-day follow-up? The day-to-day follow-up is that next action date and time, and that's why it shows up here. But we want to talk about stages. So CRM, opportunities are part of the CRM. So in order to set things up for it, we need to go to the settings for CRM. Once you're in here, you got your sales settings over here on the left, and here is the sales pipeline. This is where we define our stages. Now I've already got these stages predefined in preparation for this call here. You can see we got the same 4: new, contact, engaging, qualified, and I'm assuming that we do a demo and then we send somebody a quote. So again, demo scheduled, demo completed, and then quote sent, quote accepted, and then there may be closing. We got our win and losses over here at the end. So again, each of these stages is very meaningful. If you want to edit your stages, so if there's some stages that are already here, if you hit edit, it's going to populate whatever is in here, and then you can make changes to it and hit update. If you want to add new stages, you would just type it in here. So the order is where it shows up on the list. As far as target number of days and probability, I'm not going to dig into these too heavily. Probability is the closing probability. You can use this for revenue forecasting. We won't be talking about reporting today, but the order number is probably the most important piece because that's just where it shows up on this list here. So 10, 20, 30, 40. I like to do them in tens because then it's easy to put some extra stages in the middle just in case. So if you're going throughout your process and you find out that you're getting a lot of reschedules for a demo, maybe it makes sense for you to make a demo rescheduled stage at order 55, and then you can track that, and you can kind of use that to find out where the breakdowns in your pipeline and your process, because you can do reporting and you can say, show me the percentage of stages that move from here to here. That's another reason why these want to be well defined and meaningful, is because for your sales manager or you, whoever's the head of the sales team, you can actually pull really meaningful data. And the target number of days, that's simply what the sales rep should be shooting for. How long should they be in here? You notice I didn't really set that up for either of these because all that's important for us is the order. So if I wanted to add this stage at order 5, I would just hit add. Here it is. And that's how easy it is to set up your sales stages. Again, we would go into CRM and then settings, again, because opportunities are part of the CRM. And then you got your sales pipeline over here. Here's where you set your stages. So, getting back to this, we set up our sales stages. So that's the base of the pyramid. Now I'm getting a couple of questions in here. I'm going to answer some of these questions towards the end. If the question is relevant to what we're specifically talking about, I'll answer it. I had somebody ask what the checklists are about. We'll talk about that at the end because there's really no automation or any reporting around that. So I'll definitely answer that. Jorge or George, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but we'll do that at the end here. We'll definitely have plenty of time. So we have our defined meaningful sales stages. So now that we have that, the next part to the pyramid is proper sales rep management. So the automation is only going to work properly if the sales reps are using opportunities correctly. Otherwise, the automation is just going to be moot and it's going to fall apart. Proper management is very, very simple. There's 2 things that you must always do, and then an optional third one. And it really is that simple. You must always leave a note. We need to have a history that some action has happened. So maybe I called and left a message, or maybe I went out and did an appointment with the person. We leave a note, and then we update that next action date and time. So that way our calendar gets updated. Now, I want to talk briefly about tasks and opportunities and how you really shouldn't use those together. They're both going to show up in your calendar, But an opportunity is almost like a rolling task where the date's just going to continue to get updated. And I've actually got a little bit more about that towards the end when we talk about automation. But in general, if you're using opportunities, do not use tasks. It's just going to confuse your sales reps. There are certain instances where it is okay to use a task, and I'll talk about that when we get to that particular slide. So again, proper sales rep management is very easy. Leave a note, update that next action date and time, and then if it's appropriate, you would move the sales stage. That sales stage move is where the automation comes into play. So again, that's why we're building this pyramid. We got to have our meaningful stages, and our sales reps have to be using them because the top of this pyramid is the actual automation piece. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to work these opportunities. I did have a handout for my talk at InfusionCon, which was the guide to working opportunities. So go ahead and write this down. If you miss it, I'll totally give it to you again at the end, no worries. But I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the steps that are in this PDF. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we've laid the groundwork. We can actually get to the meat and potatoes, which is the automation aspect. Because I know that's what we're all excited for. So here I am from my home page. So again, we have this opportunity here. I know it's an opportunity because it's a dollar sign, symbolic for an opportunity to make money. So I'm going to go ahead and click into here. So again, what are you always supposed to do? You're supposed to leave a note, update your calendar, and then move the sales stage. And we're going to do all three of that in this case. So here's my next follow-up action. This is telling me what I need to do. If an opportunity is created automatically, you definitely want to set the text that says, why did this opportunity show up on this person's plate and what do they need to do about it? And as you're updating your pipeline, you want to make sure these notes are very clear. So ideally, you don't have to dig through emails. You don't have to look at your old notes. Everything that is here, that's all the information you need to do whatever you have to do. So let's say I called them and left a message. Fine. We're going to add a note to this opportunity's history. So this is how we leave a note and also update the calendar. It's a 2-for-1. Makes life real easy. So I'm going to click this, and now we have a conversation with Infusionsoft. What did we do? I called and left a message. That's what I did. So the next follow-up action, do you want to change it? You always want to update this. Again, you can think of an opportunity as like a rolling task, so it continues to show up on your calendar until it's a win or a loss. If it's a win or a loss, you don't need to update your calendar because there's no follow-up from this. There may be follow-up as a result of, a sale or somebody falling out, but that follow-up would be in a campaign somewhere, not an opportunity. The opportunity, again, is that manual tool for your sales reps to know when they need to work, what they need to work. So in this case, yes, I called and left a message. I need to update it. I'm going to go ahead and try calling him tomorrow, and let's try calling him in the afternoon because I tried him in the morning and I didn't reach him. So these notes down here, this is what I need to do next. And so this is where we want to give ourselves as much information as possible. So this is the second call to qualify. Left a message on Thursday morning. So now when I come in on Friday at 2 o'clock, I don't need to look anywhere. This tells me exactly what I need to do. So again, leave a note, update your calendar, and then we hit save. So that kills two birds with one stone. Now my calendar is updated, so it's going to show up when it's supposed to show up. And then down here in my notes, you can see it gives us a really good digital paper trail because, again, this is part of the CRM, and the R stands for relationship. So we want to manage the relationship very cleanly, and the note works as such. This is what I was supposed to do, and then this is actually what happened. Plain and simple. So you can always go back and look at that. So we left our note, we changed our calendar, and now I'm going to go ahead and move myself into a stage. So again, these have very explicit meanings. So I just called to qualify. I didn't reach them, so I'm going to move myself into the contacting stage. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the automation piece. This would have been a perfect opportunity to automatically shoot an email that says, hey, I just tried to call you, and I'll try again in a couple of days, saving the sales rep some time. So that is how you work an opportunity. Again, very simple. It's really just a training thing. You just gotta train your people to use this because this is the most powerful part of Infusionsoft, in my opinion. And it's very easy to use. People just have to get used to using this. Get rid of using tasks and just start using opportunities. So now we get to the automation piece. I'll leave this link up here for a second. It's a PDF, and again, if you need this at the end, I'll more than happily send it out to you. So now we get to the whole thing that everybody was voting for, which is pipeline automation. Now again, automation only happens around stage movement. And so that's what we want to keep in mind. So we can see this all builds upon itself. You got to have your stages, your sales reps need to be using it correctly, so you got to train them, and then the automation is going to do what we're expecting to do. So here's my slide on opportunities versus tasks. A stage is not a task. A stage is a milestone. We take actions to push somebody between stages because that's really what a sales rep's doing. They're pushing somebody and leading them down a pipeline. So you can see here, if you're using opportunities and tasks, it's going to create duplicates on the calendar, and it's going to be confusing for your sales reps. You see that appointments widget down here? The $ is the opportunity, but then the checkbox is the task. So this Paul Sokol guy shows up on the calendar twice, but there's only one thing that I need to do. So instead of that task to call him, that needs to be the notes, the next action notes in the opportunity, just like you saw me do, second call to qualify. There are a couple of cases where it is okay to use tasks. For example, when I was coaching people, my next action date and time would be the date and time of our next call, but maybe I need to send them the GoToMeeting recording before then. That would be a time where it's appropriate to use tasks because the GoToMeeting recording, the sending of that is a single one-off task, and it's ancillary, it's auxiliary or secondary to what the main task is. And when I say task, I'm talking the action in the opportunity. The main action for the opportunity is the next call. But before then, I also need to send the recording. So that would be an instance where you can also use tasks as well. But in general, if you see that your sales reps are creating tasks and they're using opportunities, it's a great opportunity to sit down and train them a little bit. And again, there's instances where maybe it's appropriate, but in most cases, you don't need to use tasks. And the only reason I'm harping on this so much is because this is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make. And it's one of the main reasons why people don't use opportunities is because they just get confused. So high-level idea, use opportunities if someone's an actual opportunity. Only use tasks if it's something supplemental to what the opportunity is already telling me I need to do. So that's my soapbox on opportunities and tasks, and it's also the last slide. So now we're going to get into the fun stuff, where we actually start looking at the automation. So automation, of course, happens inside our campaign builder. So I'm going to go to marketing and campaign builder. And here is a sales pipeline automation campaign. So the way that the builder works is it's all goal-based. We know this. Goals are modeled with the little circle here. And the goals with regards to pipeline automation are stage moves. Again, that's that 10,000-foot view, that meaningful milestone where we can say, here's explicitly where somebody is in the process, so we know what needs to happen next. That's where our follow-up can happen. So you'll see these little symbols down here, these little yellow people. This is symbolic of an opportunity goal type, because we know there's different goal types. You can have web form goals or purchase goals, things like that. Now, to get one of these, grab any goal that you want, because we know we can rename it. And then if you double click on this little symbol down here, it's going to allow you to change your goal settings. One thing that I do want to point out is that internally inside Infusionsoft, we have received the spring release that you'll all be getting in mid-April. So this menu looks a little bit different. If you go into your application currently, it's going to give you the full list of all the things. They changed it to be a drop-down menu. So you'll see something that looks more like this, where it's the whole list. So don't freak out if yours doesn't look exactly like this. It will in a couple of weeks. But you can see you can change this to move to an opportunity. And then that's how you change that symbol. So I've chosen these particular symbols because they visually represent what's going on here. If somebody's in contacting mode, the phone symbol. If we're talking or we're trying to talk to them, we can use this symbol. As far as configuring this goal, when you go ahead and double click on it, you can see it's when moving into the stage, contacting. That's what's going to fire this goal. Pretty straightforward. You can also configure a goal for when you're moving out of a particular stage, and there's definitely times and places when that's appropriate. So here's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with this little model here. So we know we've got contacting, and then we move them to engaging, and we move them to qualified. One thing that I want to point out, because I don't believe I mentioned it, is stage movement does not have to be linear. I do not have to move somebody from contacting and then into engaging and then into qualified. You can skip stages. You can have a new opportunity and call them up on the phone and immediately schedule that demo. So you can move them right from new opportunity to demo scheduled, and that's totally fine. And that's what we want. Again, that's going to help us with our reporting. What's my percentage of new opportunities moving to contacting? What about new to engaging, new to qualified? And this is going to allow you to see where the breakdowns in your process are. So we can't connect a goal to a goal. Doesn't happen. The way that we take people to goals is by using sequences. So I got a couple of sequences here. Got one for contacting, one for engaging. So we're going to go ahead and connect these up here. And there's content in here. I'm going to show you what these look like. Okay. The plain English of what we're seeing is when somebody's in the contacting stage, they get put into the contacting sequence. As soon as they get moved into engaging, the contacting sequence is going to stop and the engaging sequence is going to begin. And then once you move somebody into qualified, the engaging sequence stops. Again, this is how the builder works. This may be nothing new for some of you, but I wanted to plain English it to keep that high level idea because it's specifically goal focused. And when we're doing automation, we need to be supplementing, automation specifically around pipelines, we need to be supplementing what the sales rep should be doing in the first place. So if I have somebody in the contacting stage, I know that my sales rep should be making future call attempts to try and reach them and get them to the point where they're engaging or get them qualified or wherever they move them to. So because of that, every single communication and step inside this contacting sequence is assuming two things. Our sales rep is still in the process of contacting them, and they have not been moved to engaging, because as soon as that person engages, we're going to move them. So again, if you remember that pyramid, right underneath the opportunity automation is proper sales rep management. As soon as somebody is engaging, that sales rep needs to update that. If they don't, they run that risk of receiving emails that say, hey, I haven't been able to reach you. And then they have egg on their face and look silly. So let's go into this contacting and see what it looks like. So again, this is here to supplement what the sales rep's doing. So it's actually stretched out over the course of a month. Immediately, they get an email that says, I just tried calling you. Because that's how it works, right? Our sales rep should be making this call. If they don't reach them, they move that new opportunity into contacting. And contacting explicitly means we haven't got a chance to reach them. So let's go ahead and see what this particular email looks like, what the content of it is. Now, I've set this up to look like a plain text type email, and that's up to you. You can have it branded. You can keep it as a plain text. It really is just based on the behavior that you have trained for. If they've been receiving emails that have been branded and look fancy before this point, you may want to keep it like that, just so it's a similar experience. You may intentionally make it look like a plain text to be more personable coming from that particular sales rep. But you can see this email is very straightforward and it's very simple. In my opinion, automated emails around pipeline movement is some of the easiest to write because they don't need to be long and you can be extremely targeted to exactly what's going on here. So it's coming from the contact's owner. This is going to be the sales rep that's working the opportunity. So it's nice and congruent here. And it's real simple. Hey, hey, first name, I'm Paul with Acme Widgets. I just tried giving you a call at whatever your phone number on record is. We missed each other. I was calling to see if this might be a good fit to your problem. Again, they're in the contacting stage. So we don't know if they're qualified because they're not even engaging at this point. So that's what this is speaking to. We know for a fact they're not qualified, so we can say that. I'll try again in a few days. Wanted to give you a heads up. Hey, you can reply as well. Because again, the sales rep should be trying again in a few days. It's there to supplement what they should be doing in the first place. And then to make it seem a little more personable, have a great day of the week. Owner, first name, last name, and their phone number. So this feels really nice and comfortable and just very casual and very factual. I just tried calling you. I missed you. I'll try again. So looking at the other emails, we wait a week and then we send them another email. Because again, we know that if they're going to move into engaging, none of these emails are going to run. So this is assuming like a worst case scenario that somebody's in the contacting stage for a full month. So let's look at this second email that goes out a week later. And I want you to pay attention to the fact that it's going out in the morning 1 week later. Because we can leverage all of this stuff in our emails. So again, it's coming from the contact owner. The subject says still trying. Good morning, first name. We can say good morning because we know it's going out in the morning. Just reiterating what we're doing. I've been trying to reach you to see if it might be a good fit. Haven't been able to. I'm still thinking about you. Because again, this person has been in contacting for a week. And we're assuming a sales rep's probably made at least another attempt to reach him. And again, this is really, really simple, but it's very powerful. Again, we're using automation to supplement what your sales reps need to be doing. So now, after this, if we still haven't moved them out of contacting, 2 weeks after they first get moved into here, so a week after the previous one at 4:45, so at the end of the day, they're going to get another email. This is the third one. Do I give up? Subject line. So we know this goes out at the end of the day, so we start off by saying, hey, I'm about to head out and enjoy my Thursday evening, but I wanted to shoot you a quick email first. The best automation is the kind of automation that people don't know is automated. And so it's these kinds of quick little emails that are leveraging temporal or time information and leveraging, day-specific things like the day of the week that really put the warm cuddlies around people and let them know that we're thinking about them. So, I'm about to head out, shoot you a quick email. I've been trying to reach you, but I haven't been able to reach you. Should I give up on you? And in this case, we're just being straightforward with them because they've been in contacting for 2 weeks now, and we haven't even been able to talk to them. So we're letting them know, hey, do I even continue talking to you? Now, this would be how I would do it. I'm kind of a very straightforward, no BS kind of guy. So if somebody's in my pipeline for 2 weeks and I haven't spoke to them, I kind of want you out of my book of business. Again, you can write this however you want. But again, this is supplementing what the sales rep should be doing. And again, should I give up on you and take up my book of business? This might get them engaged. They may reply and say, hey, Paul, sorry for the delay. I'm totally still interested, but, I've just been super busy or whatever. And then it closes with enjoy your night because, again, we know it's going out at the end of the day. And so now we wait 2 weeks. So this email would go out a full month after that first contact attempt of contacting, right? And this is a little more gloom and doom. It's I give up. I give up, first name. It's going through my book of business this morning, Paul. And I know you've been trying to and did you know I've been trying to contact you for nearly a month? We can be 100% confident saying this because they've been in the contacting stage for a full month. If we've reached them and our sales reps are managing it like they should, this email's not going to go out. And so, hey, I can't really catch Trina Tracy down like this. If I don't hear back from you, I'm going to take out my book. Sorry. Just being real honest with people because this is obviously a tire kicker if they're getting this particular email. And that's how you can use a whole sequence to take somebody from one stage to the next, or at least to supplement what your sales rep should be doing. So now, this might be a time where we might want to use a task. You can use tasks as reminders for your sales reps. So our sales reps should be using that next action date and continuing to roll it out. But if somebody makes it this far, I don't want them to keep wasting their time with them. Or maybe you do. I don't know. If it was my sales team and somebody was in contacting for a month, I wouldn't. So I would probably do something that looks like this. Whatever. Wait, we'll give them 5 days to respond to this last email. If we don't, let's make a task that says move to lost. So this is one of those instances where it is okay to create a task and an opportunity, because this is the system basically being your check and balance and saying this person is a waste of your time. Just move them to lost. Move them to lost. Complete this task. Life is good. So setting this up, I'd say something like, move to lost stage. They've been in the contacting stage for more than a month. And we haven't heard from them. Sign to the contacts owner, do it whatever time. This will populate on their calendar, so I would say probably, set it for like 8 a.m. so it happens first thing in the morning. It's definitely not essential. And there you go. So, and you do have to select a backup assignee. So this is one of those instances where it would be okay to use a task. So I guess another way to think of it is automated tasks can be okay. Your sales reps themselves should not be making those tasks. Unless, again, it's something secondary like send a GoToMeeting invite or a recording. So everything that we've just discussed has all been with regards to taking people from contacting and into engaging, and that's it. So what about once somebody is engaging, but we haven't qualified them yet? Well, here's what our engaging sequence can look like. So again, this is going to start as soon as I move somebody into the stage of engaging. So we know that we've spoken to this person, but we haven't yet got them qualified. So it doesn't necessarily make sense to send an email immediately after moving the stage. You can if you want. That's up to you. But if I was doing it, I'd wait a day, and then that next morning, send them a follow-up. Hey, it was great talking to you. Again, I really love to leverage the time and the days of the week. So I wait for a day so I can say good morning. It was great chatting with you the other day. I say the other day because it waits a weekday. So if I chat with somebody on Friday and then I move their stage, they'll actually get it on Monday. So that's why I wouldn't say it was great chatting with you yesterday. I can change the timer to send out on any day, and then it would be appropriate for me to say the word yesterday here. So I know that we need to schedule a demo, but I also know they're not qualified yet, or at least the sales rep hasn't indicated so. So that's why we're going to say, hey, we may want to schedule a demo. So again, being very low key, we might want to schedule a demo, but I want to make sure this would even be a viable solution for you. I want to get you qualified, is what I'm saying, without saying, I want to see if you qualify for our sales process, because no one's going to respond to that. I'll reach again in a few days. Feel free to reply. Have a great day. So again, you could do the same thing. So you'll notice that these are very, very plain. There's not a whole lot of detail in them. I would call this functional copy, meaning this copy will get the job done, no bells and whistles. If I actually knew, like if I actually had a product that I was selling and I knew what the demo for, I can be a little more specific. We want to schedule, but I want to see if this would be a viable solution for you. Let's say that it's an Infusionsoft demo. If you've ever had trouble following up with people, or you need to manage your sales process, this might be something to look at. Let's chat more though before we start chunking off a block of time to schedule a demo. So again, this is just functional copy. You can put some more details in here, which would probably be recommended. So again, this is kind of a rinse and repeat kind of thing. So really the question is, if somebody's in the engaging stage, for more than, let's set this as a week, what do you want to tell these people? How do you want to talk to them? We can assume a couple of things. We can assume we've at least had one voice-to-voice communication with them, and we can also assume that the sales rep has not been able to 100% say, 100% say this person's qualified. So how would that email sound? Again, these can be nice, friendly, nice and low-key, and that's how you take people from stages to stages here. So I'm going to go ahead and cover a couple more examples here, and then we'll start getting into the Q&A. Before I start covering some more examples, how are we feeling about this? Is this good information? Is this completely off the mark? If you want to leave a couple comments, just let me know that I'm not talking to the wrong thing here. Okay, so people are getting some value out of this. That's good. Glad to hear it. So let's talk about some more ways to use automation. So we know that we had a scheduled demo, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and change this to an opportunity. And this is demo scheduled. So this happens when somebody moves into the demo scheduled stage. And then we actually have the demos completed, right? Demo completed. So how could this sequence look? How could the demo scheduled sequence look? Okay, so again, there's these 10,000-foot milestones of our stages. We can go ahead and speak very precisely to some of these. So demo scheduled, and every once in a while we get these red crosses. I don't know what causes it, so I'm just going to go back to the list and open this up again because that's just going to annoy me. Okay, so demo scheduled. So everything in this sequence, well, in any sequence, I guess, as far as the philosophy behind automation, a sequence exists for the sole purpose of driving somebody to a goal or potential multiple goals. So everything in that sequence needs to support that. So that's why every single email and contacting is supporting trying to get someone to engaging. And it's reinforcing what the sales rep should be doing. Same thing with engaging. We're talking to them. We need to push towards getting them qualified. Demo schedule is the same thing. We schedule the demo. The next thing is to say that we finished the demo. So what could we do here? So in demo schedule, the first thing that we would do is we'd probably want to, basically say, have a demo confirmation. Hey, looking forward to our demo. Here's what you need to be aware of. Maybe here's a resource to look at before then, blah, blah, blah. We know that this sequence is going to stop as soon as the sales rep moves them into demo completed. So we can continue writing emails that are really similar to that. So I don't know how quickly these demos get booked out. Let's say that on average, if somebody books a demo, it's going to happen within a business week, so within 5 business days. So what I can do is let's go ahead and have an email that goes out, in the morning in 3 days. That's almost like a demo reminder. I'll just say demo reminder 1 here. So if I schedule a demo within 2 days, they're never going to get the second email, or at least they should not, because my sales rep should be moving it to demo completed before this email goes out. But if the demo is further out, this email is going to kick in and just says, hey, I'm looking forward to our demo. Just wanted to see if you had any questions, Again, maybe here's a resource you might want to look at, something like that. If you're doing demos that are a little further out, in this case, I would maybe do one more email at 4 days out, so a full week after the demo is scheduled. And people may never see this email, and that's okay. If they do, though, it's good, because that means they scheduled their demo pretty far out. But again, every single step is supporting the goal of getting somebody into the stage of demo completed. And then once demo is completed, we know the next step is quote sent, right? So maybe there's an initial email that says, hey, it was great doing the demo. I'm going to go ahead and put a quote together for you and I'll send it out. Actually, this will be the last sales pipeline example that I'll go with. And then we'll start looking at some other things like fulfillment. Actually, we'll probably just start taking questions at that point. So quote sent. Using the little file symbol to be symbolic of sending a quote. We're going to move an opportunity here. And this is satisfied when we move into quote sent. Okay. So if this were your actual pipeline, you would want to have all these chained together. So we'd want to have a stage from qualified, and then we'd want to go ahead and put demo scheduled and all this stuff over here. Because again, maybe I go from new opportunity immediately into demo scheduled. I can skip all of this stuff. But let's say the demo completed, right? And then I'm also going to have one quote sent, and this will be the quote sent. Okay. So we finished the demo, quote sent. So in demo completed, what I'd probably do is I'd probably send them an email right away that says, you know, great demo, I'll send a quote. Now, what if I did the demo and they say this isn't for me? Well, as a sales rep, I would not move into demo completed. I would just move right into lost. So again, this is only going to work if our sales stages are meaningful and if our sales reps are using them properly. So a little bit of training, and I say a little bit because it really is just a little bit of training. It's very easy to just work an opportunity and just get in that habit that every morning I log in, the system tells me who's on my calendar for today, and I just talk to those people or do a demo, whatever I'm supposed to do. So we know that the goal is to send them a quote. And I'm assuming that's something that can probably happen real quickly. So what we want to do here is we want to supplement what the sales rep's doing if they drag their feet on the quote for some reason. In a couple of days, we're going to say, sorry for the quote delay. Hey, sorry it took me so long to get you the quote. It's still on my, you're still on my list. I haven't forgot about you. I'll send it over as soon as I can. And then maybe we have one more that goes out a full week after the demo, which again, most people should not be and probably won't be seeing any of these emails. But that's okay because it's there to support us just in case. And so this one can just be a little more apologetic. Hey, I'm so sorry. I know that it's been about a week since you've done our demo, and I know I promised you a quote. I haven't got it yet. I'm so sorry. Whatever the case is. Because we know as soon as we move into quote sent that these are all going to stop. And so we're just continuing on. If the quote is sent, that's probably going to come in an email of its own. So I don't want to send an email immediately. Maybe I want to wait 2 days and then send them an email that says, what do you think? Because I know the next stage is quote accepted. So, hey, send you a quote. Just want to see what you thought about it. Want to see if you like it. Let me know. And that's essentially it. We're just using the campaign builder like we've always been doing, and we're just doing it with regards to stage movement. So I am here to take all and any of your questions here. There was one question I saw that I had. I'm just going to start at the top and work my way down. So.
Jordan does is he asks a poll question that says, how do you rate the content on today's call?
Okay.
So that's usually something he does at this point.
Right now. So digging through our questions here, what I'm going to do is while I'm looking through my questions, I'm going to give everybody a quick poll here just to see how you're going to rate the content of today's call. And then while we're answering that, I'm going to go ahead and look and see what questions we're going to take care of. A lot of great questions here, and I'm definitely going to stick around to try and answer as many as I can. Hopefully, I get to all of them. I don't really have anything pressing on my schedule immediately after this. I intentionally block some extra time off to answer questions. Okay, so polls coming in. Still looking at the questions here. I'll turn the poll off in just a quick second. If you haven't voted, please vote. This helps us improve the quality of these mastermind calls. And we've got a good stable of questions here. Fantastic. Great. Okay. So thanks everybody for voting here. It looks like at a minimum, everybody at least learned a few things. We didn't get any terribles or didn't learn very much. So I appreciate that feedback. We'll go ahead and close this poll. And let's go ahead and answer some questions here. So again, just starting off at the top of the list and going to work our way down. So a question that I received when we were setting up our sales stages was, what is the checklist for? It's one of those esoteric, little-known little pieces of the sales pipeline. That's why I wanted to wait until the end here. This allows you to create checklist items for a particular stage. So I'm going to say made at least 3 attempts. This is going to be on the contacting piece. So, for example, I'm going to say this is required, and the order is the exact same order as here. So you can have multiple checklists that show up here. So I just added made at least 3 attempts. Let me show you where this comes into play. When I go back here, you can see that because I'm in the contacting stage, I have this made at least 3 attempts. If I try to move stages, it's not going to let me because this is required. If I say check made at least 3 attempts, now I can move around without any problems. I don't particularly use these a lot for 2 reasons. One, because there's no automation around it. If you need automation, see about using a sales stage. You may also just decide to use note goals and internal forms for other automation within a stage here. The second reason I don't enjoy using these is because there's no reporting on it. I can't search. I can't say, show me all these opportunities in this stage that have these checklists required. So functionality is limited. There's definitely times and places where this is appropriate. That's what it does. And that's my opinion on it. So that's what the checklist is for. Next question I get is, can you set up multiple sales funnels? And the answer is absolutely. This is something that is very common, especially if you're like a realtor and you have a buying and a selling sales stage. Let me show you how you would do that. So we're going to go back into our CRM settings here and go back to our sales pipeline. So let's go ahead and say that this is for one product, and then let's say that I've got another pipeline for something else. What I recommend doing is putting a prefix before each of the stages, so that way there's a clear identifier. So if it's a different product, let's just say like it's an Infusionsoft specific one, and I can say, okay, IS new opportunity. And as far as the order here, what I'd want to do is I can either put this after the one of the lost stages or just at the end here. So what I'm actually going to do, let me show you how I usually would do this. What I like to do is I like to create a dummy stage that goes in between my funnels, my pipelines here. So now when I'm looking at my list, this is the sales pipeline for one process, and then these are the stages for the other ones. So now I can say, all right, IS, contacting, which would go at 120. And so see, now I can build a second pipeline here. Another common way that I've seen this used is they'll use this for the sales process, and then they'll use this for the fulfillment process, especially if it's a project or a product that requires a little bit more than just like delivering something. I had a group of people in Arizona that did solar panel installation, and there's a lot of steps to that. There's a lot of permits and inspections and things like that. And so they had their sales stages, and then at the bottom they had their fulfillment stages, which they used to track all that stuff. Um, I want to quickly talk about checklists again real quick because I just had a thought that I did not share with you. If you need to be able to pull reports on a checklist or some piece of data right here, you can make it a custom opportunity field, and then you can do searches and filtering based on that. A good example of this was I was working with someone who used opportunities for event opportunities, so a speaking opportunity or a live webinar opportunity or something like that. So they actually had some custom fields, and they had a couple of yes no fields like airfare purchased, yes no, rental car purchased, yes no, hotel purchased, yes no, because he did have it as checklists. But the problem was he couldn't search by that. He couldn't say, show me all deals that have a date for this month that have airplanes set to no, which means I still need to get planes for those people. So again, I'm sure there's absolutely times and places where checklists come into play. But if you need any searching or reporting on it or whatnot, you can also make it a custom field. So that was a little side note, but yes, you can set up multiple sales funnels, and then here's what it would look like. Sales rep, here's one, and then here's the other. And again, this is just a dummy stage. So again, you're instructing your sales reps. Nobody should ever be in this stage. Just a visual discriminator. What you could do is you could create a saved search for opportunities in that stage, just to keep an eye on it, make sure that that never happens. Okay. So I had a couple of questions from Jeremy talking about instead of using appointments, we use tasks. Any thoughts on that? Okay. Okay, so there's actually a couple questions in here. So one, he's saying, we use tasks instead of opportunities. It's just going to be a little bit more confusing because an opportunity is kind of like a rolling task. And the other comment is that the problem with this is that it's adding notes to the person record, not necessarily the opportunity record. The reason for that is because people can have multiple opportunities throughout the course of their life, over the course of the relationship with your business here. And everything inside Infusionsoft is focused around the individual, the human. And so that's why any notes get put onto their record, because yes, it is connected to the opportunity, but at the highest level, it's the person. An opportunity record is the database of opportunities is a child database to the contacts. So that's why I can have multiple ones. Have a great question here. And I'm starting at the top of this list as well. So if you had any other questions on that, Jeremy, I have not seen them yet, but I'm going to make it to the end of this list. Have a great question from Philip that says, can custom fields and opportunity records merge into emails yet? And the answer is they've always been able to merge into emails, but there's a special way to do it. So let me go ahead and show you how to do that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and create a custom field for an opportunity. So we're going to go into my settings here. And I'm not setting up custom fields for contact. I'm setting them up for an opportunity. And so I need to, of course, create my tab first. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's just use event info. For example, I'm going to create a custom field of the date that the event is slated for. Event date is a date field, and it's going to live here, event info, bam, okay. So now when I go back and look at an opportunity, got my event info field, and I can go ahead and set a date. Oh, little pro tip here, especially because we use dates a lot with opportunities. If you put your cursor into a date field and you press I, which stands for information, It's going to bring up a list of your quick date keys. And there's actually some logic to this. T stands for today, so that's how you saw me put today's date without doing anything. You can add and subtract the day. You can add and subtract a week because W is the first letter of week and K is the last letter of week. Same thing with month. It's M and H, M to add a month, H to subtract it. Year's a little different. It's Y and E. First and last day of the month is just F and L. This right here seems a little out of order and not logical, but this is the bottom right row, the bottom left row on the keyboard. So go to Monday of the week, select or Tuesday or whatever. So let's say that the event is next week on a Tuesday. I can press W to add a week, and then X, set it to Tuesday. This can save me some time from having to click. I'm the kind of guy that doesn't like to, necessarily waste time, even seconds. So if there's quick keys to do anything, I like it. And so I'll share that with you. So this gets to Philip's question. How do you merge opportunity fields into an email? There's two ways to do it. They're both legacy. And the only reason I'm going to cover this is because this is a mastermind call. I feel that you guys can do it. If this was like a beginner call, I would say, yeah, but I'm not going to cover it today. But I'm going to go ahead and pull back the curtain for you, give you everything that you would need to know. At some point, we will have this functionality in the campaign builder. For right now, we need to use the legacy pipeline automation. So I'm in my CRM settings where we went to set up our stages. Underneath that is pipeline automation. And I'm going to use a trigger type. There's only one type. We're moving from one stage to another. So I'm going to say when moving into, let's say demo scheduled, for example, I'm going to add an action to send an email. And I'm going to go ahead and write an email right from here. This is one of two places in the system you have opportunity merge fields. So I can say, looking forward to, and then when I merge, I have my opportunity fields. And then here's my event date. There's also other fields that you can use here. So this is the only place in the system to use that. So you'll notice that it's not necessarily available in a follow-up piece. It's a one-off triggered email based on that stage move. The reason why is because, again, an opportunity is a child record of the contact, and it's possible people have multiple opportunities running at once. And so that's why this trigger is when moving a single opportunity to a stage, I can do this one thing immediately, and the system doesn't have to get confused about which opportunity is it. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is a little bit more ninja, and I thought this was pretty cool when I learned about it. If I go ahead and I search for opportunities, I can filter them out based on what I need. If I go to actions and I go to send a broadcast, because I went to the broadcast wizard from an opportunity search, you'll notice up here it says report classes opportunity search. That is going to allow me to see the opportunity merges. It's the same thing when I'm going to edit an email. I look at my merges, and we've got opportunities here. So that's something that you've always been able to do. It's a little more esoteric, Philip, but yes, you can merge them into emails. And that is the functionality there. So have fun with it. And again, we may have had further questions. I'm just starting at the top of the list and going down. All right, next one. Is there a template for an automation campaign that you choose, or do you have to build it from scratch? Yes and no. There is going to be an automation campaign for the out-of-the-box sales stages. Once the campaign marketplace launches with this new release, you will be able to inject campaigns into your system. One of those campaigns is for opportunity movement. However, it's just the model, the structure. So it's just the goals and then the sequences in between. And it's assuming the starting stages of new, working, closing, win, loss that come out of the box with Infusionsoft. You can definitely use that as a starting point. And yes, Vladimir, we are recording this one. Sorry to hear you almost missed the whole thing. I'm not seeing how the letter gets triggered is what Ed says. All right, so let's go back into our opportunity here. So the way that things get triggered is the result of moving somebody. Well, the automation trigger is based on the sales stage move. It's the act of moving somebody to somewhere else that can fire that goal. So I'm going to actually hop back into this pipeline automation here. So when I move somebody into the stage of contacting, it starts this sequence. And then this email goes out. And then this one is scheduled a week out. This is scheduled 2 weeks out. This is scheduled a month out. And so that is what triggers these emails by moving the sales stage. And again, it's the sales rep moving the sales stage because this is just a manual tool for their accountability. Okay, Libby says, should opportunity stage movement be in a new campaign? I would recommend having a campaign for the automation as a whole, but then you would not want to put other stuff in here. So you may have a bunch of lead generation things out here. I would start this with that first stage move, and then I would end it at the very end. Let me show you how you would probably want to end all of these, if I can move it. Is I always like to have my win and my loss stages at the very end of the chain. So I'm going to use this. So this would be, obviously not purchase, in this case it's an opportunity, and this is win. I'm just using the cart symbol to be symbolic of winning. So win, and then we've got our lost here. The reason we put these two at the very end of the whole chain is so that way it doesn't matter where somebody is in the sales process. Once you move them to a win or a lost, it's going to skip them ahead. And then if there's any follow-up from a win, like purchase actions or whatever, I would put that in a separate campaign. Anything that's leading up to the point of identifying an opportunity, I would have in a separate campaign. But as far as the pipeline, I'd keep that all in one. Okay, so next question. So if the salesperson gets a voicemail saying the opportunity contact's out of the office for the week, well, they'd make a note and ensure they don't attempt to call them. How would one deal with the automated email? Completely remove them from the sequence, or is there another option? Great question. Let's go ahead and show you how to handle that. So let's use that example for contacting, right? The point of a sequence is to get somebody to goal or goals, right? So in this case, I would actually, there's two ways I would do it. I'll show you. The first way is just move them into engaging because they say, hey, we got a voicemail from them. They're engaging at that point. The other thing to do is to take them out of a particular sequence. So what we could do is we could set a note that's connected here. So this is a note goal. And this is, contacting stop sequence is what we'll call it. And then this node is just whatever. For whatever reason, we wanted to stop that. So in that case, now as a sales rep, all I would have to do, let me actually publish this so I can show you how you would use it. So I would be in that contacting stage, right? We refresh this opportunity. I would leave a note that says, got a voicemail and they are out for the next 2 weeks. Do I want to change it? Yeah. So if I want 2 weeks, I'm going to press W twice. W. Great. Left message. And then I would say whatever the date was. So I call qualify. So again, no matter what happens, you leave a note and update your calendar. Doesn't matter. Now I can go ahead and pull this note that says, well, stop the contacting sequence. So again, this is part of the training. Here's how sales reps work it. So you can build in these little contingencies for that, or just move them into engaging. Next question here, and we got still got some questions here. All right, so Would you not move them to a nurture campaign? I would not move them into a nurture campaign until it's an explicit win or a loss. You can kind of think of these sequences in between here as mini nurture campaigns, because that's really what they are. This contacting sequence right here, this is nurturing somebody that's still active in the sales process. We're just trying to get them to the point where they're engaging. Or once they're engaged, we're trying to get them to the point of qualified. For sales pipeline automation, it is there to supplement what your sales reps need to be doing in the first place. The other thing you can do is you can leverage your reporting to see, are your sales reps being effective? When you look into performance mode, and you can look historically, how many times was this email sent? How many times was this email sent and whatnot? Now, this is global. You can't necessarily, well, actually, yeah, you could filter it based on the owner if you were to click into here and set your filters. But in general, this can give you some meaning. So if these two emails always go out and then these ones don't really, well, maybe our leads, maybe we're saying they're a quote opportunity too early in their buying process because they're not engaging with us. Or maybe if it's coming from a particular lead source, maybe that's not the best lead source. You can always dig in and then look at this kind of stuff. How many times does move to lost get sent out? You can look at that. So the short answer is you would not move them to a nurture campaign until they're either a win or a loss. The sequences between are kind of like a mini one. So thanks, Clarence. So Robert asks, in the contacting sequence, we want delayed emails to not go out if successful contact is made. So how does the sequence get exited in the middle? Yeah, so a manual operation. Yeah, so again, the opportunity is a manual tool for your sales reps. So if I'm in the contacting stage and somebody reaches me, if I want to stop the sequence for contacting, all I do is move them into engaging. And then now I am out of this sequence and I'm in this sequence. So again, your sales reps, your sales stages need to be meaningful and defined. On top of that, your sales reps must be using these properly, and then the automation is going to work. So again, simple training. Go ahead and teach people how to do it. All right, so let's keep going down to some questions here. Okay, so Ed Farragon says, I need to see how this letter actually gets triggered. You just saw it. I moved you into engaging, and I hit save. It's a sales rep, that's all I need to do. Because now you can see if I refresh this data here. Actually, the data refresh is actually, let me close this and hop back into it. I should be in here. And I actually know why, guys. Make sure that on any of these stages that somebody can jump to from the beginning, you do want to set these as an entry point so that any contact can do it, because I may go from new opportunity to engaging or qualified or whatever the case is. So I got you here. That's why it didn't put me into engaging. So that's my mistake. But to answer your question, Ed, it's that simple. You just move somebody into this. So I don't have an emailing qualified or engaging. It's really that simple. You just move a sales stage. Boom. Gets triggered. Okay. So Jeremy says, I don't know if we need to beat them to death more personally. And I totally agree. This is based on your sales process and your pipeline. This is written in my voice and how I might do it. And again, I don't have a specific business. So I'm really just kind of have this little etheric sales process and thing that I'm selling. So, okay. Great. Got some people saying they haven't used opportunities, but it's opening their eyes. Love to hear it. Okay, so getting some more questions here. Can you share some ways to automate the qualification process? Great question, Jay. Some examples of ways to automate the qualification process. So when somebody's qualified, it means four things here. I'm gonna bust open a little text field for you, because I spoke about this at InfusionCon a little bit, and I'll speak about it now. There's an acronym for PAIN. A qualified prospect has PAIN. This means that a problem exists. Not only does a problem exist, but they have to acknowledge it. Not only do they have to acknowledge it, they need to be inspired to do something about it. And then last, and most importantly, they need the necessary authority to buy. So they need a budget. They need to be able to use that budget. They need to be able to cut the check or give you a credit card. So as far as automating that qualification process, that may happen earlier in your sales cycle before an opportunity even gets created. Let's use the example of a dentist, right? And someone with a cavity. So maybe on my website, I have a form that says, hey, do you have a cavity? Give us your number. We'll call you up and book an appointment. I'm already half qualified at that point. The problem exists. I have a cavity. I acknowledge that I have a cavity, and I'm inspired to do something about it because I filled out this web form. So really, all I need to do is on the phone, at the front desk, do you have the money for it? Essentially, you're qualified. All right, great. Let's go ahead and get you scheduled. The qualification process, it is going to be different per. Other ways to automate the qualification process is doing it, through like maybe your lead magnet. So if you are for whatever reason, deep sea fishing popped into my head. So let's say I'm doing deep sea fishing charters. Maybe part of my lead magnet is educating somebody on deep sea fishing, or like maybe a problem that exists with it. And then I'm kind of qualifying myself before I even get dished out as an opportunity. It's a pretty open-ended question, Jay. Feel free to follow up with some more. I'm going to keep chugging down this list of questions. In the example, we move contacting. Yes. The question is, when you move from contacting to qualified, is it going to stop the sequence of steps in engaging? The answer is yes. That is how the campaign builder works. When you hit a goal, doesn't matter if it's a web form or a purchase or stage move, whatever. When you hit a goal, it's going to stop everything pointing into it, and then it's going to start whatever's pointing out of it. So the answer is yes. If I'm in contacting and then I move you to qualified, it's going to stop all of this stuff. Pretty cool stuff. There will be a video to download when you're finished, John. Right. So Chris makes a good point. Says, since the calls are scheduled in the opportunity and the emails are scheduled in sequence, the challenge is knowing when the call should be made relative to the emails. Yes and no. The emails can be generic enough to the point that it's okay if we have spoken to them in between. The fact is, so let's use this qualified piece. These emails explicitly speak to the fact that we have not scheduled a demo. So even if I'm talking to the sales rep on the phone, it can still be written very casually, hey, just want to see if we're ready for that demo. So thanks for that, Chris. That's a good point. The other thing is it's about the training of your sales reps. So I just got done helping set up a pipeline for a pretty large sales team, and they had their process. They said, you make that first call. Then you need to set your next action date to be 3 days from now. If you don't reach them, you need to set it for 5 days from then. So that's just their training and how their process works. And the automation that we set up was there to supplement that. So we had an email go out at day 7, which would have been before that third call attempt, I guess, that said, I'm going to try and call you tomorrow. So again, if the sales rep isn't on their A game, they're just going to look silly. So it's a really good accountability tool to just get everybody on it. Can you please direct me to a step-by-step manual for setting up the sales pipeline? Absolutely, Michael. I'm going to just go ahead and give you the I'll leave this on here. We've got a bunch of resources from InfusionCon, and one of those was setting up the pipeline. So if you go to bit.ly /icon13-socal1, that shows you how to set up your sales stages. And I'm just going to give you all of them. Might as well, because we could all benefit from these. So sales stage setup. Number 2 is talking about the perfect dashboard. We didn't talk about dashboards at all. Ideally, your sales rep should log in every morning, and the dashboard tells them exactly what they need to do today, who they need to talk to. The third one is talking about the opportunity workflow. So I know I had passed this earlier, so if you missed that PDF, this is the one that you want. And the last one's actually really cool. We spoke nothing about reporting, but this PDF is a sales report breakdown. So it explains exactly what each report does and when you might want to use it. The other thing to be aware of is we actually do have that as a virtual academy course as far as setting up and managing your pipeline. So feel free to attend that. Again, if you go to help.infusionsoft.com/academy, you can see the I'll just show you can see what the courses are and what we're going to be talking about. So sales teams right here, boom. This talks about opportunities, not it's just the basics. It's not an in-depth mastermind like we just did. I'm going to keep going through these questions, guys. Thanks for your time because I know that we're doing it. How do you skip stages? Dean asks. It's very easy to skip stages, Dean. You just skip them. I can go from engaging right to demo scheduled. Boom. Nice and easy. All right. Looks like Greg had to skip out early because he had an appointment. Thanks for attending, Greg. Where is the win and loss to stop all campaigns? I think I may have answered that for you, Jillian. That happens at the very end. You got your win and your losses. So again, you hit a goal, it's going to stop anything that's pointing into it. So as long as you have win and loss at the end of your chain, it doesn't matter where they are, it's going to pull them out of it. Is there a way to build custom fields and emails for products interested in? That is a great question. You can absolutely set up a custom field, and then you can merge that into an email. So I would say, yeah. The simplest tool in that case, I would recommend looking at using internal web forms. And so you can have an internal web form that collects the product they're interested in, maybe just as a custom text field. And then when you submit that, then that can kick off some follow-up emails, merging that into here. Quick example of how this can work with fulfillment. Great question, Chris. So what would be an idea for fulfillment here? Let's go ahead and use the solar panel one. And I'm just going to have a couple of stages in here. Actually, we'll do it. We'll use electric dog fences because I got one of my former students builds electric dog fences and installs them. So need install, and then install scheduled. These are all stages. I'm not going to change it to opportunity type just because we've done that. I just want to get the concepts here. Install completed. So these would each be stages. So need install is a stage and scheduled and whatnot. And same idea. So if we need the install, we'd have a sequence, and in here we can have emails that say, hey, thanks for buying your electric dog fence. The next step is to figure out an install date. Here's how to do it. And then maybe a couple days later, hey, haven't seen an installation scheduled. Here's what you need to do. Once install is scheduled, same thing. Great. Looking forward to coming out and installing your electric dog fence. Here's what you need to be aware of. Keep your dog locked in the house. Whatever. And then after the install is completed, hey, thanks for letting us come out and install your electric dog fence for you. So hopefully that's a decent example for fulfillment, Chris. What if a sales rep needs to customize a message before it is sent? There's 2 ways to do this. You can have a custom field that the sales rep needs to populate, and then the email just has a delay that sends it out. If the message needs to be customized before it's sent, you can also just create that as an email template and then just have them pull it in. So if you go ahead and click on their email, it'll bring up your email editor, and I know that was really quick. When you're in the opportunity, if you click on the email address, it'll pull it up, and then you can just pull in a templated email and edit it manually. So you can't completely and fully automate everything with opportunities, but you can definitely help it out a lot. Okay. So funneling back to the question of custom fields for products people are interested in, do you need different stages for different products? You might do that. Maybe you have a second pipeline if they're like really, really different, and if there's like a lot of volume through those. Lots of ways to skin a digital cat here. So that's up to you. Mindy likes the email content. Thanks so much. Um, and I got a couple people saying don't pull a Jordan and make sure you close the poll. I actually did. He has a sign on the wall that says close the poll, dummy, because I guess he's done that. So that's pretty funny. Yes, this is going to be posted later, Frank. And if your sales pipeline is set up different, that's totally fine. Maybe this is a good opportunity to maybe reduce some of those stages. Paul Clegg asks, how do you handle where you have two different product opportunities? I believe we addressed this, but you can set up different pipelines if the sales process itself is actually different. In most cases, you can just use the products and subscription plans and use this to indicate what are people looking at buying. This is where you can start doing like revenue forecasting and things like that. So either just keep the stages and then do it, but maybe one product doesn't have a demo or whatnot. You can set up a second pipeline down here if you want. So Nick says different. Right, so a lot of I'm seeing a theme here of what about different products and things like that. In general, the sales process is the same. It doesn't matter what you're selling. You got to get a new opportunity and then contact them, get them engaged, qualify them. Then maybe it changes. My head hurts. I need more time to assimilate the material. Thank you, Wink. That means I'm doing a good job. And again, guys, I'm pretty active on Twitter. Feel free to follow me and ask me questions. How applicable for people who don't have a sales force who do not make personal contact? David asks. This is not really applicable for that. This is a manual tool for you to use. If you're not going to be following up with people, individually and manually, you don't really necessarily need to use this. I keep more. What kind of reporting can we pull outlining all the sales efforts? Go ahead and, because that's a whole different kettle of fish here. This was Mindy. Mindy, go ahead and download this fourth one, which is the sales report breakdown. That discusses all 12 of the reports that are available and what you can pull from it. Because I realize that I'm about a half hour over, and I do want to try and get to all the questions here, and we still got a handful of them. When do you rebuild the pipeline? Do you rebuild after adding a stage? That function is actually a function that allows you to build saved searches based on this. So when you're going into opportunities and you're viewing them, you have your saved searches up here. If I click rebuild pipeline, it's going to build those saved searches for me. So that's what that tool does. So I guess, yeah, you can rebuild after doing new stages here. Again, the only function that does, it just adds save searches in. So if you don't use save searches per se, you may not need to do it. All right. Great question. Lori says, would using a task be good if an opportunity has earned you a new client so you can continue to check in with them once the opportunity has been won? Absolutely. The opportunity monitor is there to track the process. If the process has done its job, for example, winning, just make a follow-up sequence that has a couple of tasks, spread out a couple of months, however you want to do it. That's when tasks are appropriate. If somebody's like active as an opportunity, then it can sometimes be confusing. I've been using opportunities. Is there a way to reset the average time in stage? That is a really great question, Nev, and I'm not sure. Go ahead and if you would, Nev, shoot me a quick email here. Right here, and I'll find out if there is a way to do that. If we can, my guess is that we have to reset something on our end. But that's a great question, and I'll have to dig in some more on that. Can those custom fields merge into emails? Yes, but the only way to merge them is, again, either doing it from a broadcast that you send from an opportunity search or the pipeline automation trigger. Those are the only two ways to merge custom opportunity fields in emails. All right, so Ed says he's a coach. What do you recommend as an automated way to plug the new client into a system? An opt-in form to start. So yeah, you can use an opt-in form to get them going. If you don't want it to be public, you can use an internal web form that you or somebody on your team fills out. Internal web forms are the exact same as a regular web form. When you're setting up a goal, you can just change it to be when a user submits an internal form. And then your internal forms live, that's not what I wanted to do. Your internal forms live in the contact record. You can also access them from the opportunity. You would just scroll down to your internal form submission, select it, fill it out, and there you go. How are we looking on questions? Okay, we're actually, we got a ton of questions here. I mean, I'm absolutely happy to see, to keep answering these guys. I'll go until you guys tell me to shut up. Is the stage in the sales funnel depicted graphically, allowing someone to determine where they're at in the process? Not necessarily graphically, but you can absolutely do opportunity searches, and you can say, go ahead and show me opportunities that are in this specific stage. The other thing that you can do is there's a widget for it. If we go to add dashboard widgets, we have pipeline stages, and then this gives you a breakdown of your sales pipeline. And you can edit the settings here to only show certain stages, and you can only show certain users if you want. So that might be something good for sales manager here. I'm gonna try and get through these questions a little more quickly because I do want to get to all of them. When I click on add a note, where do I view what I did do? Note, it's nowhere that I can find. Okay, so Holly, here is how you leave a note in an opportunity, and I'll show you where it lives. So you add a note. Here's what I did. I called again and he didn't pick up. Change my calendar, whatever. Third call to qualify. So when you save this, the note lives up in here. And so when you actually open it up, everything that's appended after the dashes, that was what was supposed to happen. And then this is what happened. Are those quick date keys available in all date fields inside Infusionsoft? Yes. Anywhere you see a date field inside Infusionsoft, you can use those quick date keys. So if I'm looking at additional info and I want to go ahead and set somebody's birthday, I can. Obviously, if making somebody's birthday today, they were just born, don't know why they'd be in my CRM, but yes. Can you click through the steps to do... Can you click through the steps to do the merge field to generate the one-off date email? Yes. This is for Jillian. So we go into CRM settings, because again, opportunities are part of our CRM. We go to pipeline automation over here on the side, and then we build a trigger. I'm going to add one. I'm going to say when moving into demo schedule, for example, because maybe that's the custom date field or whatever field I want. And then I'm going to go ahead and send an email. And then I have to tell the system that it is an email that I'm sending. And then I can either add a brand new email template or I can edit one that already exists. But as long as I do it from that trigger menu, I'll be fine, because you can see that when I edit the email, the context is opportunity. So as long as I access editing this email from that trigger, I will have these merge opportunity fields. All right, let's keep chugging along here. Can customer opportunity fields be put into a web form? No. That is the one opportunity for us, is to be able to use web forms that can populate opportunity information. Again, the reason why is because people can't have multiple opportunities, and merging is always with reference to the contact. So many wanted to see the way to merge op fields. I just handled this. How do you get to this page? Not sure what page we're talking about, Mark. If the sales rep does not manually move, does that mean inappropriate emails will get sent by default? Potentially. Again, the sales reps need to be accountable for what they're doing. So if they're not using opportunities properly, their people are going to get emails and they're going to look foolish. So it's a good tactic to keep them in line. Great. Yes, you can use merge op fields to send out quote info, which is awesome. When you have multiple products, do you create multiple campaign pipelines? You can. Doesn't necessarily create any duplication issues. Whatever's easiest for you. If you had two explicit funnels, I guess, yeah, I would probably put them in separate campaigns just to avoid any confusion and overlap. Can you pause a campaign for a specific amount of time? Yes. If I understand what we're asking here, that's what our delay timers are for. So you can say wait this long and then do something. If you're talking about the legacy term of pausing a sequence or a campaign, you can't really. Either they're in the sequence or they're out of it. Oh, good. And I misunderstood a question. Fantastic. Let's get Kristen taken care of. About being in the office for 2 weeks. If someone, okay. Got it. Okay, so I misunderstood it. Somehow the sales rep finds out that this person's out of the office, so they're not at the engaging stage. They're in contacting. You can take them out of this sequence by using this note here, but of course there's still an opportunity. This will prevent those emails from going out, but they're still there in your pipeline, and you would still want to set your next action date to be like 2 weeks out. Can I view all my appointments in one list, the home screen, and let you see one day at a time? Absolutely. You can use that pipeline widget. The other way that I'd recommend doing it is create an opportunity search here. And what I'm going to do is, rather than repeat myself, I'm going to recommend that Holly go ahead and download the perfect dashboard setup. That's one of the searches. It's show me all opportunities in my active stages, and sorted by next action date. It'll show you all of them. What reporting options are available? Mark asks. Download the fourth PDF here. And again, guys, if anything isn't making sense, just go ahead and follow me on Twitter and ask me a question. Well, actually, you don't even have to follow me on Twitter. You can just call me out and I'll answer questions. Release date of the spring release. Great question. I don't even know if it's been formally announced internally what the date is. I know that they're going to begin rolling it out in mid-April. I don't have any hard dates on that, though, so I do apologize. Does it make sense to use opportunities for customers? I want to send emails each month to classes of clients. They'd be enrolled for different levels of service. You might use opportunities for that, but you could also use tags as well. Again, lots of ways to skin a digital cat here, so I'm really not sure. I would say try it out, test it out, because the opportunities are there to, keep track of that individual follow-up here. Now, you do have the ability to do mass stage moves, so when you're doing an opportunity search, I can do a mass update of opportunities, and then I can say go ahead and move their stage here, and then that can trigger what needs to happen. But that seems maybe a little bit overkill. That's kind of like fishing with dynamite here. I would say you can probably stick to the tag ones, John, unless there's like individual follow-up that needs to happen with these clients. You're probably right. What about using a landing page type survey where you tag people using a radio button on a list of questions that moves them to a live sales rep? Absolutely. That's a great idea. So I know that I said you'd probably want to keep them in separate campaigns. I'm just doing it here. So let's say I've got some survey, right? Oh, gotta love those. What are the, I think, hot areas or something like that. I'm on a Mac. I'm on a Mac today, and I'm not super used to using it. So okay, so you could do something like this, and then so maybe in the survey there's a couple of different questions, and based on an answer, it's either going to create an opportunity or move them into a nurture sequence. I would do something like that. And of course, you'd probably want to have this be in a campaign of its own. Okay. So how are we doing? All right, so we're actually almost at the end of our questions here, guys. Thanks to everybody who's still hanging on here. You've been awesome today. I'm really happy that I can serve and answer some questions here. Okay, so Daniel says, I subcontract for general contractors, gives me multiple opportunities, has its own location. How do I maintain a history without overriding the contact address field? Got it. So this is a perfect example of when you would want to use opportunity custom fields here, because then you can have the opportunity locations per opportunity, and then searching for it is just an opportunity search. So if you go to CRM and you go to opportunities, you can search it just like it's a contact record. So look in your custom fields, for whatever. It was an event date field I set up earlier, so that's why I got all these. But you can search for whatever you want. That's how I would do it, Daniel. That's a great way to use opportunities. Do we only win and loss at the end, or should we have them along with continue at each of the first stages? Should we have them? I'm not fully understanding the question here. I think the question is just, should you have win and loss at the end here? And the answer would be yeah. So that way it stops wherever anybody may be in the process. Yeah, I would put it at the very end of the chain, because then that means the opportunity is closed. It's either a win or a loss. Can we show the links again? Yes. I tried to make these links easy to remember, so it's just the same URL. It's just 1, 2, 3, or 4 at the end. So bit.ly/icon13-socal1 or -socal2 or 3 or 4. If you go on to Twitter and you search for icon13 and PDF, you should also be able to find them, because I tweeted them right after my talk. Oh, right. Great. So just getting some good feedback from Chris, seeing how the fulfillment and internal workflow could be great for onboarding people like at a law firm instead of just a campaign. Totally agree with you. Okay, and I think we're pretty much at the end. So, Jeff says, I logged in and I don't see pipeline in the CRM menu. Are you missing something? You are, Jeff. That means that you do not have the e-commerce module of Infusionsoft, so you don't have the shopping cart piece. Opportunities are part of that. That's how you can, in an opportunity, indicate what people are interested in buying, and then you can also create orders directly from that. So you can always upgrade to the version that does have the shopping cart, and you'll have opportunities. What's the reason for the orders? Why did I put win and loss at order 400 and 500? I just wanted to put them at the end of the list, and it was quicker and easier for me to type a 0 at the end of those. Because again, I'm all about efficiency here. So as a manager, how do I see what tasks or opportunities my team has scheduled? This would be an opportunity search. So if we want to do it for a specific sales rep, I'd do something like this. I'd say, go ahead and show me opportunities for this sales rep in these particular stages. And then what I would also do is I would make sure the next action date is here, and I'd even sort by the next action date as well. And now I can see what somebody's got coming up. And that's how you do opportunity searches. And you probably want to put some other stuff in here, like, what's the stage, what are my next action notes, things like that. So here's how I look at my opportunity stuff. If I want to do a search on the tasks that they have, there is an admin report on tasks and notes. And same thing, you can say, I want to go ahead and see tasks that are incompleted incomplete. I don't know why I put a D there. And then assigned to a certain person. I don't think I have any open tasks. Yeah, not in this particular application. Yeah. So to clarify that question earlier, if someone says, "Hey, I'm away for 2 weeks. Can you pause it?" Not really any way to pause the sequences, but you can absolutely just set that next action date, and yeah, they just don't get those emails here. Okay, so I think okay, so this is really kind of the last question. So clarifying what Kara said about having the win and the loss stages at the end here, she says, can't you just go ahead and connect each stage to them like this? You can, but that's actually redundant because the way that the campaign builder is built is it's for that, where whenever a goal is hit, it stops whatever's in front of it. So yeah, I can say, okay, I can move to lost and I can move to one, but that's going to happen anyway. So this is just directly saying if I move to lost, stop the engaging sequence. This says if I move to lost, stop the quote sent plus anything else that may be leading up to it, which includes engaging. So you can if you want. If that makes it a little clearer for your sales reps, go for it. Lots of ways to skin a digital cat here, but this configuration will work as we're expecting. And I believe okay, so Kara, I'm obviously not understanding what's going on here, and I do apologize for that. Go ahead and shoot me an email, call me out on Twitter, something like that. Be more than happy to answer your question. Could you not put a stage in the sequence called pause? Says Paul. Got a comment from another Paul here. You could, but that's still going to pull them out of the sequence. It's still, so let's just say I have a stage called pause, right? And again, I'm going to assume this is an opportunity stage move. Yeah, I can do something like this, contacting pause. It's still goal based. It's still the campaign builder. So when I move somebody into here, this sequence is, they're going to get out of this sequence and they're going to move into wherever else they might need to go. And there's not really a way to say start them back at this point wherever they were in the sequence, at least not yet. What I have seen happen in the past is qualified, not ready yet. So this would be kind of like a secondary thing. So we could say, and my arrows are going to be all goofy for a second. It is possible that somebody's qualified, they're just not ready yet. So we can actually make a stage for that, and then we can have, long-term qualified, but not ready. So maybe this sequence lasts a year or whatever that says, hey, no, you're looking forward to get moving with this. Just give me a call whenever you're ready. And then I would model it something like this. So now I can move into qualified. I can also move into qualified not ready. I'm going to put it lower just to be symbolic of the fact that it's not necessarily the desired thing. But then as soon as demo's scheduled, they get moved out of here. And every single email in here just addresses the fact that they were not ready at some point, but they may be. And again, maybe this is a year long, just saying, hey, here's how to get your demo scheduled. I think that is it. So Daniel says that you can add a tag to restart after the pause, either individually or from the search results. You can, but the problem with that is it's going to start them at the beginning of the sequence again. So if I had a goal of So I wouldn't do this. I'm going to model it and then show you why it wouldn't necessarily work. Resume pause, contacting sequence. You would be able to do something like this. The problem with that is that it's just going to start them right at the beginning of the sequence again. So they're going to get that first email that says, hey, just tried to call, I missed you, which I don't think would be appropriate in that case. There's not really ways to pause and resume a sequence within the builder yet. But that's a great thought, and your head's definitely in the right place, Daniel. It just wouldn't work as we were thinking. But I like that. All right. I think that's pretty much it. I don't see any more questions coming in. Thanks to everybody that has showed up. I'm absolutely having a blast answering questions. If there's anything else that you have questions on, feel free to call me out on Twitter. Download these PDFs here, and when this recording is available, I will make sure to get it up and I'll tweet it and all that wonderful fun stuff. So the takeaway from this is to go do it. Go set up your sales stages, build some automation in between, and it's going to change your business. 2013 will be a banner year if you really adopt and aggressively consume opportunities. So thanks so much for your time, everybody. I very much appreciate all your questions, and you all have a fantastic Thursday.